Um, the UC Davis is a really interesting example, I think, because there's a number of things that are happening around in the world in terms of this violence and this excessive force. And as the nonviolence doctrines followed by Gandhi and King would say is that you let them hit you so that you're showing the world that you are righteous and they are wrong. It becomes obvious to people that this is not a fight, in which case, how can I take sides? This is a oppression where one person is wrong. I don't care what the issue are. One of these people is the oppressor. And so, but there's two different kinds of excessive force. There's excessive force where an individual crosses a line. That such as a case of the very first pepper spraying in New York, where one guy, crossed over the line, sneaked in with his pepper spray, and sprayed those girls in the face. That was clearly wrong. The only way for that to be resolved and move in a positive direction is if the authorities say, oh my gosh, we're sorry, one of our own did this thing that was wrong. He will be punished. The other thing that happens is when the institution, the accepted response is one that is that violent. The UC Davis is the example of this, where you can look at the footage before and after. This was not a cop who was like trying to get one on the students or trying to like sneak in an attack or a punch. No, this is somebody who's like, I have a job. It is my job to do what they tell me to do. The system, including the laws and including everything that I am within the system that I am in, has said that the appropriate response here is to pepper spray them. So I then have the choice of, do I follow orders or do I defy my superiors? And that's a whole different type of that's a much different thing than somebody reaching over who needs to be disciplined. So in the UC Davis thing, we have an example of this demonized guy who is just implementing the rule of implementing policy. So we get these two threads. One is like, okay, if we don't punish the people who are crossing the line, we're telling the world that it's okay. This is what happened with Rodney King, right? So after he was beaten, there was a trial, which is where a lot of these things are going to go to trial. And if the force is deemed acceptable, then we're going to have to oh, okay, now what do we do? The system has said it's okay to spray people or bust their heads open or shoot things at them or whatever. Then we're in the Rodney King situation of like, you've given us no choice. We have to now destroy things or whatever. In the case of the UC Davis, I think it's more of an example where the outrage can allow people to put pressure on politicians now and say, dude, if this is okay, how can you possibly say that's okay? How can we possibly say that this is an acceptable use of force against nonviolent protesters? And hopefully it's the kind of thing that a politician could, see people running in the direction of this cause and then run in front of it and say, yeah, and we can try to get some policy changes that way. That being said, I recognize that for a lot of people, both of those paths of change and through legislation are too slow, too corrupt, and just totally unacceptable. To which I would say, well then what is the resolution that we're hoping for? A peaceful stepping down of the power structure? A rewriting of the Constitution? We live in interesting times, and the way that we allow or protest or stand up against oppressive forces that squash protest and squash dissent is going to be critical to determine if we continue to grow in the spirit of the Founding Fathers, as this is a evolving system of policy, or are we going to go in the direction of fascism where we start to just have this unsaid understanding that if you stand up in a way that they don't like, it's very possible that you're going to be physically punished for doing so. That is a scary, scary path, and well, I hope that the steps that we all take as a people, all 100% of us, step and walk in the direction of peaceful change. We have the systems to do it. The Constitution is written in a beautiful, poetic way to enable a growing, evolving, and shifting of our laws so that we can, as people go, this is wrong, change. That's how we do it. Now, if the system is so corrupt that we can't do that, then we are in a dangerous place, and it's time to stockpile water, firearms, and food. And hugs!